Again, everybody, for joining us. We've got a great topic today, and I think one that's super important in today's environment where everybody is sort of mobile and running around. How do we coordinate and communicate with each other seamlessly and share information in and around the plant? We've got Edward Thongfen today with us, who's one of the technical sales consultants at AVEVA, who's going to talk to us about AVEVA Teamwork, which I think of as like a social media platform for the plant environment. So Edward, please take it away and tell us all about Teamwork.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Darren, and really appreciate the Wonderware North team for allowing me to talk on the call today with their customers, and really appreciate everybody's time this afternoon to talk about, AVEVA Teamwork. Like Darren has said, this is really an innovative platform that we have out in the cloud that allows for effective communications from our factory floor to anybody out in the field there. But before I start into sort of a technical discussion, I really want to give everybody sort of a baseline on why we're here today and why we're learning about, AVEVA Teamwork. And it's one of these many challenges and trends that we see out in the marketplace. And these are just some of them that we've talked about and are going to be talking about today. But there's many other use cases that we could apply with AVEVA Teamwork. But for the sake of time and for the sake of everybody's sanity on a webinar today, I just want to talk about these three critical ones that we see often. And what we often see is sort of the outdated processes within a lot of different environments. And despite a lot of the advances and progress of, sort of Industry 4.0, the tools and processes that we typically see within a typical manufacturing environment are still paper or tracked on Excel spreadsheets. And a lot of information is really disconnected from the people that it really matters to. So if you think about in your own sort of facility itself, when you do your meetings, you typically go to a room which has a whiteboard and a lot of content on it. But once you leave that room, that information is disconnected from you. And so when you look at that key piece of information, that information is still in silos and away from the necessary people that matter the most. So how do you get that real-time visibility of what we need to do during the day for specific equipment and sort of get a real-time visibility on the factory floor is one of the issues that we see. Oftentimes we also see ineffective communication methods as well. How can I communicate to different operators across different shifts, plants, facilities to share common knowledge about pieces of equipment that could be the same at each individual zone? We often see that critical information is not easily accessible to specific groups of users. They may be siloed within the engineering group or management, and for the operations on the factory floor, they're often not easily accessible. And when they are, written instructions are often incomplete or out of date. And as a user like myself, it's difficult to understand and retain. And this really impacts a lot of that resources to create inefficiencies in terms of their skill sets and training overall. And finally, we also often see that there's a huge knowledge and skills gap within plaguing a lot of manufacturers today. There's a high retiring workforce and high employee turnover. And we're starting to see that in a lot of customer conversations. Actually, I came from one, about a month or two ago, and one of the comments were, "Hey, Amazon opened up the warehouse within their facilities or towns, and everybody's moving to Amazon warehouse just to do work because they seem that it might be easier than what they're doing currently today." And so, pretty much what's happening a lot in different manufacturers is, you don't have that employee that has a lot of knowledge or understanding how to manage complex equipment, which creates inconsistent performance across their whole entire operations. And we want to ensure that we want to have zero downtime expectations and apply to and adhere to a lot of compliance measures, but that's sort of a pipe dream nowadays for a lot of different manufacturers, just because that high employee turnover, the knowledge is basically being decreased within many different facilities. And so that's sort of exacerbating a lot of the problems that we see day to day. Now, a couple of things to think about while we're going through this presentation today is a couple different quotes that I think resonate a lot with this particular product. And it's one from Forrester and Silva. One is basically a single minute of video is worth about 1.8 million words. And viewers retain 95% of that message when you watch it in the video compared to 10% when reading it into text. And so when you think about what is AVEVA Teamwork, it's a platform that's designed to empower factory workers with the knowledge and tools that they need to do their jobs effectively and increase, productivity and sort of their operational efficiencies. And so what we're trying to do in this platform is take the understanding, the best practices, the experience from the old workers and that tribal knowledge to run and efficiently run their machinery, and really take that potential and capture it within a digital format. So what I can actually do is, if I have anybody with my work environment who knows how to properly operate a piece of equipment safely, I can document that within this teamwork platform and really capture that within videos, multimedia like PDFs, pictures, written instructions. And so anybody who's really new to this job or new to the piece of equipment that they're trying to operate, they could follow, a procedure on their tablet there, step by step. And they don't necessarily need to have anybody to shadow anymore. They could just run through this content live. And we have skills modules as well to make sure that there's proper procedures in place before they operate, equipment. But we'll get into that sort of technical discussion later on, once we get into sort of a live demonstration. But what is teamwork? So teamwork allows us to basically connect online using a cloud-based system. So I can have my iPad, which many different facilities have nowadays, that will allow me to have instant access to information regarding about my facility, the equipment, the production lines, and I can basically post information or call for helps for basically anybody within the organization. So I can bring in my subject matter experts who know how to efficiently run my equipment inside the teamwork framework and really capture any ideas or potential problems or provide notifications to anybody within my actual environment. And so this gives us the visibility to what's happening on plant floor right away without having to wait, days or weeks to basically have somebody to tell us that, hey, XYZ machine is down because so-and-so did not fix, a particular part of on that machine there. And so we can track all this information. And if you think about teamwork, think of it as a digital logbook or an archive of history where we can capture everything that's happening within the facility. Now, reason why I say that is, we have tools in place like historians or SCADA that do data acquisition and capture a lot of machine level detail, but we're not really capturing a lot of the human factor as well, which, you have the sight, the sounds, the hearing, the senses that typically humans provide. And we can mesh that information together if we wanted to and put context to that machine data using AVEVA Teamwork. So when you take a look at teamwork, it provides us a continuous improvement platform where we can identify issues, solve problems, capture and share them across different organizations or different groups. We can train and learn against that information and then apply and improve it. And it's a continuous cycle that happens within this teamwork environment. If you look at the subheadings below where we see the factory feed, the dashboards, and forums, these are all the features and mechanisms built into actual teamwork to allow us to identify issues. And then we have an issue management page where I can look at solving problems once they come across in my factory feed there. And again, if it's a common problem that happens so often, I can capture and share that information and create work instructions or troubleshooting measures. So if a machine gets jammed up every single time, somebody can just follow a particular troubleshoot to try to fix it themselves without having to get somebody from maintenance or engineering to fix it. They can basically try to fix it themselves and then do a call for help afterwards if they really need that high level of excellence. So when we take a look at AVEVA Teamwork, what we're going to be focusing on today is really 4 key points, which is the communications, digital knowledge, the skills management, and the issues management. And so when you think about these four areas, really I can allow for effective communications to happen with my workers in between shifts and facilities to solve common problems. So if there's a machine at one site compared to another site and they share the same attributes, I could basically share that knowledge between the different sites to say, hey, what did you do to fix this part or fix this issue that we've seen out there? And you can share those insights and create these archives of knowledge to basically create a library. So that way, when you're facing this issue, maybe 6 months down the road, you can basically do a quick search within Teamwork to figure out what you did to resolve it. The other part of this Teamwork is we can create barcodes within Teamwork that we can quickly access, sort of a standardized library of instructions, videos, and troubleshooting content. So that way you don't necessarily need to navigate through the application. I can pull up my smartphone or my tablet and really scan that barcode and bring you the right information at your fingertips. When you look at the issues management, we can capture and track and resolve problems through the call for help escalation and collaborate in real time with our subject matter experts as well. And finally, with our skills management, we can deliver and track training for new hires, upskill and provide certifications against it. And if you have a learning management system already in place, we can actually link into those systems if you want to as well. So you don't have to recreate everything from scratch. We can leverage pre-existing resources because Teamwork is a great platform to do that. So when we take a look at sort of the communication, I can look at this communication on smartphones, on my tablets. If I'm a desktop user, I can basically use a web browser to access this information as well. But what you see here is the factory feed. And the factory feed gives us a high-level overview of what's happening within my facility. So I could basically say, if there's anything happening with our new COVID policies, if there's something happening with my production line, anybody can basically post a message up into the factory feed and reply against it and put their input against this. So this provides that collaboration sort of expertise against these common problems that face or plague manufacturers day to day. You can also sort of address certain people as well to promote engagement between posts. So if you're not sure about how to fix a particular problem, you can tag a specific user to say, hey, can you take a look into this problem for me, and then try to identify how we can resolve the issues. The other thing that we can do is we talked about a lot about creating a library or an archive of information to really access the critical information whenever we need it. And so what we can do is post information like multimedia messages, like videos, images, documentations, or web links to external content to really gain more information about a particular machine. I can create forums or checklists as part of this for data collection or running a standard operating procedure. And I can look at sort of a report afterwards and figure out how many people are looking at this content and is it relevant to the actual users and all that stuff. All this information can be stored within many different languages as well. So if you want to translate this to English, to Spanish, or to any sort of other languages, we can do it within the confines of Teamwork as well. And finally, when we take a look at sort of the skills management, we can look at what each individual users are basically sufficient in, or we can basically take a look at what training requirements they need to do. And this will help people plan a little bit better on what person can I utilize for a particular shift to run a particular machine to make sure that their performance measures are up. And so this is going to give you a high level view on how our systems, our skill sets are for my particular company. We also have sort of an issues management page where I can have a Kanban view of open, pending, in progress, or completed issues. And so we can actually route these notifications or calls for help to experts who know and understand these equipments. And we can filter it out based upon any sort of a view out there. So I'm going to get into sort of a live demonstration or a quick tour about what AVEVA Teamwork is all about here. So let me jump into the environment and show everybody here. So right now we're logged into the web page, which is the AVEVA Teamwork. I'm going to be launching a user called Samuel Brown here. So I'm going to click on the sign in button here. In a short bit, it's going to launch me into the factory feed. So the factory feed gives me some information about what's happening within my production systems. We can understand that there's some issues related to this particular process. We can see what maintenance is doing in terms of fixing any particular equipment on the line. We can look at sort of general information as well. Here's my COVID policies, and understand sort of information that I can get from whiteboards and post them onto the actual web here. So I also look at the very top here, top corner. I can see, at a high level what my sort of notifications are. So, hey, I need to look at, one of my skill sets. I have some things I need to look at. Hey, Liam Martin tagged me into a comment here, and I could browse through the comment and see, what's happening in this particular instance. So if you take a look at the issue here, we can actually see that there might be a potential problem with centerline this piece of equipment. And you can look at the discussion page and see what people have tried to troubleshoot this particular issue. And so if we captured some of this information, we can actually utilize this piece of information or answers again to see how we can troubleshoot this in a further discussion point. I'm going to go into my Kanban view here. And this Kanban view is going to give me a high-level overview of what issues are plaguing me within my facility. So I could see that there's an open issue for quality, and I got some pending things I need to do for my production lines. And I can create severities against this as well. So, red being most critical, orange being, a warning, and so on and so forth there. And you can see that we've tagged the particular equipment in here as well to easily access sort of the environment. So if I click on that case packer, it actually brings me to the equipment page where I can see all of the relevant information regarding the case packer system. So I could see all of the different news posts, a live dashboard. So if I want to input sort of live production information like my OEE data from Power BI or take information from Insight, I can definitely do so as well. We actually have some documentation that we can put as part of this. And if you notice here, we have some barcoding information. So if I wanted to quickly access this page, I can just scan a barcode and easily go to this content and see, the relevant information. I can also see sort of my experts as part of the system as well. So I know that Natalie, Nathan, and Liam are well versed within this particular machine and can operate really well. And all of the different production settings. So I can see, hey, this is what I need to do to run a particular item through my case packer. These are all the different settings as part of it. So I need to adjust the height, the width, the infeed, and all that fun stuff as part of this. Going back to the actual system here, I want to put focus into some of the work instructions. And the work instructions are really great because if you're not really well versed in running this particular machine, you can create content in here that people can follow on how to adjust certain parameters, printing a report in the end of the shift, starting productions, so on and so forth. And this minimizes the time to have somebody really looking at an operator to help them troubleshoot the system, so you can provide efficiencies that way. Finally, we could take a look at some troubleshooting measures as part of this as well. And we can take a look at, some things that, hey, we need to fix, like this packer not picking up a particular product, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get back into the presentation here, and I have a couple more slides to go before we finalize the actual content. But one other piece that we have within Teamworks is the forms field. And this is really allowing us to take sort of a paperless environment and capture a lot of the information on the plant floor. So we can collect all types of data as part of this. So if I wanted to, collect manual type of data using, different field types like checkboxes, pick lists, date and times, and have electronic signatures on this, I can definitely do it within the actual Teamwork environment. If I wanted to add in multimedia, where somebody's doing a checklist round to basically ensure that a piece of equipment is clean or following the right parameter sets, and if they notice a deviation against those processes, we actually can take pictures and videos and add them to the forms, and we can export this data to CSV files or use third-party tools or APIs to access this information afterwards. So let's take a look at how this works in real life here. So I created this content here where we're going to scan a QR code and direct an operator to fill out sort of a pre-operational inspection form here. So on my iPhone, I'm actually going to navigate to my Teamwork application. And from my Teamwork application, I'm going to scan a barcode that I have on my system. And this is going to provide me to a link to the case packer system, which I'm going to click on my forms and fill out a pre-operational inspection form. From here, I'm going to read the description on what I need to do next and start to fill in the proper documentation. So I'm setting up the date and time, when I started this form, who I am, I'm Samuel Brown, and have I, adhered to any of these different policies as part of this. So I'm filling out all of it in a matter of seconds. So if I'm just scrolling down the actual list and making sure that, I'm checking out all the boxes and making sure that this is properly set up. I can attach, work order numbers by typing in information if I wanted to. So I can attach any information that is possible as part of this, and just really checking out the boxes. And from here, I actually can add in additional content. And I'm actually taking a picture of my McDonald's, iced coffee because somebody left that on the desk and hasn't cleaned it up. So you can add in some comments. So anybody else who's reviewing this form afterwards can see all this live information and question the person afterwards to say, what did you do to fix it? Or, what was the remediation steps and so on and so forth. And you can also do a lot of other transactions as part of it. So really great tool as part of it. And this is all built within the Teamwork framework. So let's take a look at some of the extensions and integrations that we could do as part of this. So we can actually integrate this into our AVEVA software. So we've built integrations into our HMI SCADA systems, our cloud-based hosted platforms as well, which we're going to show in a short bit. We've done integrations into various CMMS systems, ERPs like SAP, learning management systems, so on and so forth. But the possibilities are endless with Teamwork and the integration from it, where we can get real-time metrics that we can get from the plant floor and really bring that information outwards afterwards. And if I wanted to generate sort of call for helps to generate or trigger work orders or work order requests within my CMMS system like Avantis or Maximo, I can certainly do so within Teamwork as well. So let's take a look at how we can share content in between, our different platforms. And this is a really neat one that we typically see a lot in our customer dealings, which is basically taking data from our Insight platform into AVEVA Teamwork. And it's really easy. It's not too difficult to do the integration as well as at all. As you probably see in the next couple of minutes here, is that we're just going to create a shared link, and from that shared link, we're going to embed that content within Teamwork and expose it to everybody else. So right now, I'm actually within my Insight environment, and I'm going to go through to one of my pieces of content to really share to AVEVA Teamwork. In this case, I'm going to share a roaster dashboard, which has a lot of great information about my production, understanding my equipment utilization states, equipment statuses, and process curves. Now I'm jumping back into Teamwork and navigating to my piece of equipment, which is going to be my case packer. And within the case packer page, I'm going to navigate to the dashboard, and that's where we're going to host all this information from external contents. As you could probably see already, I actually have a roaster set up in here, but I'm going to delete it and show you how easy it is to configure. So I'm going to click on that plus sign, add in a name for that widget, which in this case is going to be Insight, specify the link to access it, the height, which is going to be 1,000 pixels, and save it. And once this refreshes, we can actually see my live content from my Insight dashboards and see actual real-time information from my plant floor into Teamwork as well. And this is information that's coming from, my SCADA systems or my MES systems as well. Looking at this, we actually have built Teamwork integration into our SCADA products as well. And let's go through one of the scenarios that we've presented here. So if I'm operating a piece of equipment like a KUKA robot and I don't know how to do a proper lockout tagout, what I actually can do is within the SCADA software is put context to Teamwork to drive me to the particular zone. As you can see, I'm navigating in the left-hand field there to the case packer system. And from there, I actually can browse to the work instructions and watch a quick video on how to do lockout tagout procedure. So I'm going to browse through this quick 30-second video to basically ensure that I'm properly adhering to the correct steps to turn off this KUKA robot and making sure that I'm not doing anything potentially dangerous to myself or any others working on the system. So I'm shutting down the breakers, the disconnects, locking in the key in there, signing myself out, turning off any sort of pressure valves, air valves, whatever we need to do as part of this, and then turning off the equipment, making sure that nothing runs once I press any buttons on the screen there. From there, if I'm not, entirely sure what I need to do, I can actually open up sort of a procedure that's built inside a PDF here and look at the steps following through that as well. And finally, as part of this, last step, what I could do here is fill out a form to ensure that I'm, properly adhering to all the steps as part of this. So in this case, the operator is actually going to fill up a new form and really go through the same steps that we've seen before, where, hey, I'm basically saying I'm working on this machine, I'm taking down the KUKA robot, and basically saying, hey, I've shut down the equipment based upon the standard procedures that I just seen within my work instructions. And I've disconnected all of these different energy sources from electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, and disconnected all of the different switches. So that way, if I get questioned on why I didn't do something properly, they can quickly review on it afterwards. So a couple key points I want to talk about before we end this. I know that we're coming up to the hour or so, but I want to talk about sort of what we've done for different customers in terms of how we save people or increase productivity within certain companies, reduce waste, increase quality measures, and safety is part of this. So when you take a look at these customers, these are some of the use cases or examples that we have that basically looked at, implementing teamwork within their facilities and saw, a decrease in wasted productions for their, coffee lines, or, people saw, decreases in near misses for their safety measures. But this is sort of the actual percentages that we've seen in real time there. And these are sort of the phased approaches on how we can actually build value within AVEVA Teamwork right away. So when you take a look at how we can implement teamwork, we can take a look at it in building quick value for your systems by looking at it for a collaboration method. So having users collaborate with each other to really build on experience on operating equipment. And if there's any problems, they can do a call for help and bring in the subject matter experts. So now you can start on a path to building a digital logbook on how to remediate any particular problems in your facilities there. So taking a look at this, I mean, we took a look at different phases on how we've actually done the adoption of teamwork. So just reiterating our steps again, looking at the communications, how do I get started in teamwork? Well, have the users communicate on the actual teamwork platform and have that collaboration happen. Once that's working and everybody's comfortable with the interface, we can start to look at issues identification and management. So people can pose problems to teamwork and we can curate and build on that knowledge and how to resolve it and then start to implement sort of skills development. And this is sort of what we found as a useful activity for a lot of users utilizing the actual teamwork system. And finally, some key takeaways is really accelerates, the performance and reduces a lot of costs within your facilities, ensures, high user adoption and satisfactions and results, and we create sort of a sustainable, continuous improvement process and strategy overall. So that's about it for our discussion today. I'll hand it back off to Darren. And Darren, any closing remarks? But Thank you again, Wonderware North, and thank you again for all the customers on the call today.
Thank you, Edward, and thank you, everybody, for taking time today. Hopefully, we gave you a bit of a sense of this product and how it can be layered in and around some of your existing infrastructure and start to really facilitate that information sharing and communication that's so critical and at times hard to do in today's environment. So if you want to learn more and want to see anything else, as always, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to help. So thank you very much.